With SAC, to me, it's something very tricky. Well, at least my experience with it and what I've heard from our SAC representatives and actually going to SAC meetings. Okay, so this is how I feel about SAC. SAC is important. It's important because all of our orgs need that support. We're all underrepresented. We all need to stick together in order to get our goals and visions accomplished. The only thing is SAC also leaves me frustrated because it leaves other people frustrated because there are people on board that try to get things done within SAC, but it doesn't get done. So really, in order to address your question, I guess I would say I need to also go in there and help SAC, I guess, restructure itself so that there is a place for our GBMers to go to. I don't want to point GBMers in the direction of SAC and then there not be a committee for them to be involved with. So with that, there's also like GBMs to open that up. And GBMs, for me, I'm trying to envision them, and it wouldn't be led by me all the time, or probably almost none of the time. It would be given to SAC representatives, it would be given to SAC chairs, the people who know what they're talking about, to come in and really speak on what they know and what we need to know. Like I said, what I hate is having a leader that comes up and pretends to know what they're talking about or thinks they know what they're talking about. Because of that, I'm not going to come into a SAC GBM and say, I know all there is about SAC, let me teach you. I'm going to have those in SAC come out to speak about what they need to speak about. In regards to getting that support, I think just giving them that information as soon as possible, getting GBMers to know that information so that they can take action, getting them to know the issues. One thing I know is a really big mistake of mine this year was really pushing off all those hard-hitting issues until later. One of the things that I thought last year was, hey, let's back up on that and just get as many people to come out because we don't want to scare them away. But one thing I would change next year in my own thinking that I've had this experience is it's okay to have those hard-hitting issues as long as you're there to talk about it with people. Not just throwing it out there and expecting them to digest and know and understand. So, yeah, to get support, I would hand information. What they do with it is up to them, but I'll be here to help them deal with that, and hopefully them having that background, that information, the knowledge of those issues will get them involved with SAC and in support. So retention is not numbers. So just because there aren't 150 people at GBM doesn't mean we aren't retaining members. And that's something that I really want to stress, especially with the component of STAR. I know plenty of people who are involved with their auditings, who are involved with their QIAs and authors, but aren't necessarily at GBM every single week. I know there are fourth years, third years that don't come out to GBM, but are still invested in this space. So to me, retention isn't necessarily seeing them all the time. Retention to me is them continuing those connections, not necessarily inside the space, but continuing those outside of the space. Giving them those resources to stay in college, like academically, like with OASIS, ACE-P, all that good stuff. It may come up to GBM, and then I may give that to them, but that helps with retention, because they're still going to be here. Retention isn't about staying in a club. Retention is about keeping our underrepresented brothers and sisters in universities so that we're able to go out into the world recruit, provide that accessibility, and then retain more and more and more so that our communities do grow. So that is retention. I've had with past art interns, I know, well, not many because there have only been 2, 3. Yeah, 3. They don't feel like they get enough work. So what I would do is make them work. So our STAR and CORE interns are very involved with Spaces. Spaces provide so many resources that I personally don't know all of them. So having that STAR intern there for me is another resource for GBMers. It would be that intern that would come in and talk at GBMs because they're the ones who are engrossed with Spaces. As far as I guess just like logistics, I don't know. Yeah, I guess just like utilizing the interns as a resource, as an outlet to Spaces, and just giving them more work, responsibility. Yeah, but I think that goes for everyone who I would be working with. Also, as internal, I also want to foster that leadership. So that means not doing everything myself, and I kind of have a problem with that because I feel like if I'm not doing it, then it's not done right. But something that I've learned from being Coco is to like delegate, and everything turns out a lot better because you're not the only one tired, because misery loves company. But yeah, just delegating some of my responsibilities to them. And I guess where do I see my difference between the intern and me? I feel like I would be the person to whom people would come to talk to get advice, just to be directed to people who know a lot more than I do, or just someone to be there to listen. Whereas an intern would be someone on things, doing things, getting things ready, tracking, all that stuff.